What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to preview the Week 3 matchup between the Tampa Bay Bucs and the New York Giants. Now, of course, these two teams met last year, a game in which the Giants were able to come up with a narrow victory, 38-35, in a high-flying battle. That was probably Eli Manning's best game of the season. I believe that was the game where he went 17 for 18. Of course, Eli Manning will not be playing in this game after the Giants have gotten off to an 0-2 start, and both games look nearly identical. The Giants go right down the field, both games, first drive, touchdown. And then after that, it just goes to hell. Against the Buffalo Bills last week, Giants, of course, like I said, get off to a nice 7-0 lead. They then proceed to give up, I believe, 3 straight touchdowns. And, then they're playing catch-up ball the entire game, which is why Barkley only had 18 carries. Now, everybody knows, for this team to win, behind this offensive line, which is actually ranked 4th in the league right now, they've got to get Barkley the ball as much as possible. He had 18 carries last week, and, some of that was because they were playing catch-up. He's got to have 20, 25 carries, but for them to be able to do that, they have to get out to a lead, and they have to hold it. So the defense definitely has to do a better job this week. Of course, this will be Daniel Jones' debut, and he'll be going up against the Tampa Bay Bucs. The Bucs come in at 1-1. They got killed their first week, 31-17 against the San Francisco 49ers. And then last week, on Thursday night, they had an impressive victory on the road against a divisional opponent, the Carolina Panthers, a team that looked pretty good week 1 that narrowly lost to the LA Rams. So the Bucs definitely looked much better last week. And not to mention, they had 4 extra days to prepare for this game, being that they played on Thursday, and they're at home. So things don't bode too well for the New York Giants in this game. Now, of course, like I said, they made the change to Daniel Jones, which they hope sparks some energy into this offense. And we're going to get into what I think Daniel Jones could potentially bring to this offense and what I expect to see from him in this game in just a little bit. But let's go over the Tampa Bay Bucs, our opponent, a little more. Of course, last year, the Bucs offense was complete trash. I mean, arguably the worst in the league. I think they ranked third. I think they give the second most points in football, like the 4th or 5th most yards. Everybody was able to air it out. Their first 5 games last year, they surrendered 300 yards of passing in all of them, and I think over 400 in 2 or 3 of them. So their defense last year was awful. They completely revamped that this year. They brought in a ton of new players, from the draft and free agency. They also completely changed the system. They switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4, which us as Giants fans are very familiar with, and they did so with Todd Bowles, which is actually the guy that obviously Betcher took over for in Arizona after Bowles got the head coaching job with the New York Jets. And Bowles is a very good defensive coordinator, make no mistake about it. Bruce Arians, of course, took over the offense and the head coaching job there, which is who Betcher learned under, as the DC over in Arizona. Now he is obviously our defensive coordinator with the Giants, which I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage, but Arians knows what Betcher is going to do on defense. He knows his system. I mean, I read a whole article on it. He told you exactly what Betcher does. So if anybody is, familiar with the James Betcher system, it is Bruce Arians. Now, by the same token, Betcher is pretty familiar with Arians' offense. Obviously his defense practiced against his all the time in practice. So it'll be interesting stuff to see that chess match. That is definitely an interesting storyline in this game. But as far as the new additions to this Bucs defense, the linebacking core is completely revamped. Shaquille Barrett, Dwayne Buchanan, and Devin White, of course, who was the 5th overall selection in this year's draft. The linebacker, who I really love, Buchanan, had a ton of success early on in his career with Arizona in that money backer role, kind of like that hybrid safety/linebacker that could get after the quarterback. Shaquille Barrett leads the team in sacks. As a matter of fact, he has all their sacks. The Arizona Cardinals have 4 sacks in 2 games. He has all of them. So he is off to a phenomenal start. By the same token, the Tampa Bay Bucs, I might have said Arizona Cardinals, the Tampa Bay Bucs have surrendered 6 sacks. So you can get after the quarterback against this team if you get the proper pass rush, which will be a huge key in this game for the Giants. It's always going to be a huge key, getting pressure on the quarterback. And from a glass half full approach, last week in the second half, they were able to get a lot more pressure. I think they came up with 3 sacks in the second half. They have to do that in this game. They have to help out that young secondary. If you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to win many football games. And Jameis Winston this year has been bad, to say the least. I think he's thrown for just over 400 yards in the 2 games, 3 interceptions, only 2 touchdowns, and a completion percentage, I believe, under 60%. So He definitely can make turnovers. This team turned the ball over 4 times in their first game against the 49ers. The Giants have to put him in situations where he could turn the football over. And to do that, getting out to a lead would certainly help because that makes him have to throw the football. But yeah, those are their major additions. Obviously, a complete change in the coaching staff on both the offense and the defense. In terms of their offensive weapons, you obviously have Chris Godwin, who leads the team in receptions by receiving yards by a mile, has almost 200 yards receiving, almost half of Winston's passing yards. Mike Evans is, of course, always a threat. The tall wide receiver, great red zone target. O.J. Howard, the very talented tight end. So those are their 3 big weapons in the offense, and it'll be interesting to see who the Giants pair up on who. I don't know. I would think Jenkins might be on Evans, but Godwin's been their best receiver so far to date. But nevertheless, Arians is a great offensive mind, and he will be a big test for this young defense with the weapons that Jameis Winston is provided. So we'll have to see how that defense stacks up. Now, in terms of the offense, obviously, like I said, Daniel Jones' debut game, going up against a better defense than last year. I'm still not going to say they were a great defense. They did surrender over 300 yards passing to Cam Newton last week in the loss. They did, however, hold a team that's known for running the football to under 40 yards on the ground. Now, Saquon Barkley is going to be a tough test for them, but, C-Mac is no one to laugh at. Christian McCaffrey. Of course, Newton hasn't been running the football, so they didn't really have to go up against that. They may have to go up against the mobile quarterback in this game. We'll have to see how the Giants play it out. But we all know Daniel Jones does possess some athletic ability. Something that really wasn't displayed in the preseason. We saw it in training camp. We've seen it on the film. Guy rushed for 170, 180 yards against North Carolina. So the RPO is definitely an extra element to this Giants offense with Daniel Jones in the ballgame. And I expect the Giants to make a lot of easy throws for Daniel Jones. First read throws, quick slants, things of that nature, especially with the wide receivers that will be missing this game. Now, we don't know about Latimer. We don't know about Shepard. I would guess Latimer will probably miss the game. He suffered a concussion last week in the game against the Buffalo Bills. Shepard, of course, missed the game. I'm reading reports that he may be back for this game, but we don't know yet, right? And regardless, Golden Tate will miss it with his suspension. So he's not going to, he's not going to be fully equipped in terms of weaponry. I expect a lot of RPOs. I expect first read throws, quick slants, screen passes to Barkley out of the backfield, and I expect them to let Daniel Jones use his legs, whether it be a play-action rollout, whether it be, making a play with his legs. But Daniel Jones definitely poses a threat there in the ground game, as well as, just extending plays with his legs. So that's what he brings to the table that Eli Manning does not. Now, of course, he does not have the knowledge of Eli Manning. He doesn't know NFL playbooks like Eli Manning. So, if he struggles, we kind of have to expect that. Most rookie quarterbacks do early on in their careers. Now, he did learn under Eli Manning. The same coach that taught Eli Manning in college and Peyton Manning taught Daniel Jones. So he's certainly well prepared for the pros, or as well prepared as a player could be. And hopefully learning under Eli and Pat Shermer the first 2 weeks helped him, be prepared for this game. And I think if the Giants didn't think he was ready, he wouldn't be playing this week. So hopefully they're right. And hopefully Jones goes out there and lights a fire into this defense on Tampa Bay. We'll just have to wait and see. But the key to me in this game is the same as every game. You've got the 4th-ranked offensive line. You've got the best running back in football. You've got a rookie quarterback who's never played a game yet. You got to help out that rookie quarterback. You got to get the ball to Saquon Barkley. And against this defense, I know, like I said, they didn't surrender a lot of rushing yards last week. Barkley should be able to, get it going. Get out to the early lead and grind the game away. Help out Daniel Jones. And that RPO, with the ability of both Jones and Barkley to run, should open up lanes for Evan Ingram in the seam because it should get the linebackers to bite on some of the play-action opportunities. So I'm looking for Ingram to hopefully have a pretty good game, as he goes over the top on the linebackers on the play-action pass. But Jones, everybody's excited. Everybody wants to see Jones do well. And like I said, if he doesn't do well, I'm not going to get bent out of shape. I expect him to have some struggles in his first game. But I do think he will have opportunities to come up with some big plays in this game. And I think this is a winnable game. Obviously, the Bucs are the favorites. 4 extra days to prepare. They look great their second week. And they're at home. Rookie quarterback. You can't expect the Giants to win this game if you're being realistic. But if they're going to win, it's going to be on the defensive side, creating turnovers on Winston. This team has shown the willingness to give up the ball. 4 turnovers against the Niners, like I said. Now, last week they didn't turn over once, which is why they were able to come up with the victory, even though their offense didn't play that well. But yeah, Giants create some turnovers. They haven't been able to do that yet this year. Last week, they almost did. They batted a couple of balls with the pass rush. I expect the Giants to send the blitz early and often in this game, especially against a quarterback like Jameis Winston. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. I do, like I said earlier, I think a huge key matchup, and I'll have my 3 key matchups for the week later on in the week, but Arians and Betcher, both very familiar with one another. So that'll be an interesting chess match between the head coach and his former defensive coordinator. But yeah, it's going to come down to running the football at Barkley and getting a pass rush, and Daniel Jones limiting his mistakes if the Giants are going to win this football game. But the way I see it, Tampa Bay at home, extra days to prepare rookie quarterback. It's going to be hard for the Giants to win this game. And the Giants defense has given me no reason to hope that they could stop a Bruce Arians-led offense, even though they did look shaky there in week 2. So I'm going to have Tampa Bay putting up a decent amount of points here. I'm going to have a Tampa Bay 27, Giants 21 on the road. I think Daniel Jones plays fairly well. I have him going for just around 200 yards passing. I'll go 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and about 30 yards on the ground as he makes his debut start. And then he will come home, of course, to take on the Washington Redskins in week 4. But if the Giants can find a way to win this game, maybe it sparks some life into the team. You get to 1-2, you have a winnable game week 4 at home against the Skins, a game in which Haskins will be playing in, I believe. From what I heard, Haskins may be making his debut this week. That may not be true, but either way, if the Redskins lose this week and if he's not making his debut, very good chance he makes his debut week 4 against the Giants against a weak defense. So we'll have to wait and see. That will be an interesting storyline if they do, in fact, start Haskins against Jones, a quarterback that a lot of Giants fans wanted this team to select in this year's draft. But, for this week, hopefully the Giants get a win. Bucs won't be easy. We're just going to have to wait and see. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.